Probably just wearing the same bike shorts under my shorts every game. I do wash them, of course.
I always run out onto the ground last.
Week in, week out, is just wear the same pair of Speedos for the year.
Always take in to the meeting, pre-game, it's awkward, but like a quarter bottle of water.
I generally always have risotto the night before a game.
And I have to finish that by the end of the meeting and then throw it in the first bin I see, and then I know I'm ready to play. I don't know why I do it, but I've done it forever. So if I don't do it, I'm pretty much stuffed.
Maybe the weirdest man in football off your hands. And welcome, Todd Goldstein.
Thanks for having me.
Just a question. Did you win or lose yesterday?
Yeah, it was a bizarre feeling after the game. I don't think I've seen too many sides that lost get a standing ovation, and I think all the supporters were up. I think we sort of felt a bit empty after the game, considering that first half. So we were pretty confused, and I think the supporters were too. Was there a moment in the final term where you thought we actually could lose, or did you always have enough buffer? I thought that we were in control. Obviously, we weren't able to tick the scoreboard over and we weren't able to kick the goals. But yeah, I think that probably the second half of that last quarter started getting pretty real. And when the runner came out and said there was 5 seconds ago, I think we all said, thank God, and, and let's just tick this one off. To the game in just a moment, some things you may not know about Todd Goldstein. First of all, footy's only sort of a secondary thought for you. Represented Australia in basketball, father of 3, which is outstanding, but you only played 8 cup matches before being drafted. It's unbelievable. Yeah, I wasn't a massive fan of footy growing up. Do you like it now? Yeah, I enjoy it now, but yeah, the Trinity Grammar were the ones that really forced me to play. They wouldn't offer basketball in the winter, so I didn't really have a choice, and they wouldn't let me miss training. So I'm very thankful that come year 11, year 12, I started to enjoy footy, and yeah, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be sitting here. You're going to be a good player when you grow up. But Lethal, take us to Etihad Stadium. It was the most bizarre of afternoons. Well, yes, it was an interesting afternoon. I guess we all went there thinking North are undefeated, Essendon down the bottom of the ladder, North should win easily. And I guess the game got underway, and the scoreboard's the only thing that really matters, and clearly that went the Kangaroos' way. It was 8-0 at half-time, but Essendon were getting the footy. They were doing OK in clearances, doing okay in contested possessions, but basically they were pushing an extra player up into the middle of the ground. Jacobs there, well, Zahar Rakas got the tag of Jacobs. You think you're unlucky if you get the lucky dip on that one. So North were able to generate their 8 goals in the first half, as I said, but Essendon seemed to have the extra player up in the middle of the ground, and every time the ball went forward, they were outnumbered in their forward line. Joe Danaher was the target, but Scott Thompson and Tarrant, they just double-teamed him brilliantly. So at half-time, I think Essendon decided, yeah, we've got to get the extra forward in there. Don't let North Melbourne have the extra defender. They continued to win the ball around the ground, but all of a sudden, they started to kick some goals. The scoreboard wasn't exactly rolling enormously, but they kicked 5 goals in the third quarter, put the pressure. And then in the last quarter, they had all the play. They kicked 3 goals, 7. The closest they got was 14 points towards the very end of the game, but nevertheless, that was why it was such a good effort, even though they lost. And that's, you prove you can win with respect. Sorry, you can lose with respect. Essendon didn't win, but they fought hard in the second half, and that's why they were so well acknowledged by their supporters. Don't let North have a spare defender. When Scott Thompson can float back on his own in defence, he just supports their defence brilliantly. So that's something to do if you're playing against North, I would have thought. Majak Daw, his selection really interested me. Was it an experiment? And we've got Todd Goldstein here, who's the best ruckman in the game, close enough. So he's not going to ruck much. Was it an experiment? He'd be the biggest midfielder of all time if he's going to rove to Todd Goldstein. Was it a little bit of, we've got to give him a game every now and again if we want to keep him? Or was it to show the world what he's got as potential trade bait? Because he's an interesting player, Majak Daw. He's a ruckman, I would have thought, but North have already got one of them, and they've got Ben Brown, who's a pretty good forward second ruckman. So Majak Daw is an interesting, he should probably be more valuable for another club than he currently is to the Kangaroos. He has got some incredible upside though, Lee. He's exciting, he shows patches of brilliance, but Todd, I want to show you a shot for goal that he has as well here, and if there's an internal fine system, but this is a bad miss from Majak. Might be coming. If it's not coming, I'll just talk to it. This is too much time to think. Well, you can't miss from here. Can you? It's too much time to think. Yes. Now, just on his physique, we all started doing weights at half-time, quarter-time. Tim Watson, Basil, we're embarrassed looking at him. Is that mainly natural? Yeah, it's pretty much all natural. I think when he got to the club, he barely lifted a weight and wasn't overly strong, but he still looked like that. So he's obviously put a bit more size on and a lot more strength. But yeah, that's all natural coming from Sudan.
And Todd, we saw Magic start in the centre square in the opening quarter. Do you prefer to ruck by yourself, which you've been doing really well in the last season? You were All-Australian last year. Or do you like having sort of a backup guy where you go 50-50? What do you prefer sort of throughout the game's play? Yeah,
I didn't mind the role we played this. I think I probably had about 10-15% less game time than normal, which I didn't mind. It allowed me to recover a little bit more and run out the game a bit better, I think. So I think it gives us another option. And Madge is such a esteemed talent that I think you don't really know what you're going to get from him. And oppositions find it hard to plan for him. So that definitely adds another string to our bow if we can get him up and going.
Did you need a GPS to get to the bench? Did you know where to go?
Yeah, look, it was a bit of a weird feeling.
How many times were you benched last year, do you think? Sando was looking through 2001. He played the whole year, won the best and fairest, and never, ever, ever in the whole season went to the bench. Yeah,
well, I think last year I was probably averaging twice a game, maybe 3 times maximum, but it was a bit weird walking off and watching the first bounce. It was, I don't mind just setting the tone that first bounce, and to sit there and watch it was different. But when you got someone like Boomer sitting next to you who's played 416 games, you can't really complain. So you just got to really cop it.
And Todd, what was it like playing against obviously? I don't know Nathan personally, but apparently amongst the group he's a much-loved teammate. What was it like playing against Nathan yesterday?
Yeah, it was definitely a weird feeling. I think Nathan's obviously much loved by all the players, and I think you didn't really want to go in too hard against him. I think some boys might have held it back a little bit, but it's just great to see him getting another chance. He's a great player. He's had a shocking run with injuries, and it's nice to see he's back up and going, and that he's getting healthy again.
Lee, Boomer was 38 yesterday. He's played 5 times on his birthday. He's only 2 years younger than you. Is there any chance that this time in 2 years, 2018, he's playing again?
Well, I would it's a very good chance because Boomer doesn't look any different now than when he was a youngster at 28. Yep. Like in the last 10 years, he hasn't changed. Todd, you've been at the club a fair bit. He just doesn't look any different.
No, I think he's got rid of his bowl cut that he had early on.
The undercut.
I think it's a great change, but he's the ultimate professional. The way he prepares himself each and every season and after every game is second to none that I've seen. And I know Brad said pretty similarly. And I think that's that holds him in good stead. And I think when you're about 5 foot tall as well, it's probably your body doesn't take as many knocks.
He's actually year-by-year contracts for a decade now, so he might have another couple and get to 40.
He could play for as long as he wants, I think, Boom.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're 8-zip?
I do, because that's what it says. But I think very easily we could be 4-4 or even worse. I think it's nice winning the games. It's nice, having a lot more wins and losses. But we know we're not playing our best footy. We know we've got a lot of improvement to do. And I think if we play like we did on the weekend, we're not going to win a premiership. So we need to improve. We need to improve fast.
The Shaver Shop Transform Yourself this week is Ben Brown, the Tasmanian that got overlooked in 3 drafts, made his way to Werribee and said, I want to be considered. This is something that we talked about, but he, since he debuted, has missed 5 games only. Do you know that you've lost all of the games without him since he debuted? His manager's in good shape when he goes back to Arden Street to talk about things.
Got a lot of bargaining power, doesn't he? But no, Ben adds another aspect. Takes a lot of pressure off Brownie and off Wadey, and Drew. And I think it just adds another string to our bow. But I think it's all about how our forwards work together, and it's a nice stat for Benny's manager, I think.
Drew Petrie, 300 games last week. Doesn't seem that long ago that he was working at McDonald's. Amazing where everything starts, isn't it?
Yeah, and he hasn't changed one bit either. I think that's how he went out last night, wearing that.
Last week, everyone was speaking about how humble Drew Petrie is. It's about the best word you can use to describe him, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if he's not the nicest guy in the competition, he's the second nicest. I've never seen anyone ever say a bad word about him, even when he's been reported. I think those blokes still say nice words about him. So it's one of those things. He's the ultimate clubman, and I think a great person to have around the club, because for our young guys, especially players like Sam Durden and Benny McKay, they've just come to the club, but someone to learn from and to see where they need to get to. And he makes all the time in the world for all the young blokes, and makes sure he has them over for dinner and really looks after them. So great clubman.